Hey, everybody, and welcome to the True Crime Squad. This is Katie Weaver. I'm here with my sister, co host, and partner in crime, Kristi Brower. Hello.
Hello. Hey, everybody.
Hope everybody is doing well. It is our Wednesday night case update show.
Yes, it is. It's just this month is rushing by so quickly. It's just like wind in my hair.
Right? Yes, for sure.
I was putting something on my calendar yesterday for the 21st, and it dawned on me that that's next Wednesday.
Yeah.
And it's right, like, that's the week of Christmas. What?
Yeah.
I had this panic moment of like, what the hell? No, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Just, wow. That's all I got to say.
Time flies when you're having fun.
I guess so.
It's what they say. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is. It's all good. But yes, I had one of those ADD moments this morning in my craft room where I wanted to make a Christmas card. Well, mostly I was putting together a care package for a friend's daughter who's serving her church in another part of the country right now. And I wanted to send her a couple of things for Christmas. And so I was making her an ornament. So I made the ornament, but then I thought I would like to make a card to put in that. So then I designed the card. Now, granted, I don't have really time to do any of this, but here I am doing it. So I designed the card and I printed it and I didn't like it. Then I decided I wanted to do it a different way so that I could foil it. So I had to plug that printer in and make room for it, which I did so that I could print that. And then I liked that, but then I decided to make another one for her mom. So I did that. Then I had to foil it and make room for the foiler. So I did that. By the time I'd done all of those things, I've now put probably 2 hours into making these 2 stupid Christmas cards. I could have gone to the store and bought them faster than I made them by far. But then because of that, I was so irritated by the state of that craft room it's a horrible mess that I just started cleaning and throwing things away and organizing things, and 2 more hours later, it looks a lot better in there, and I have 2 freaking Christmas cards made. So yay for me.
Oh boy. Wow.
You know how you kind of
I
you
do.
start one thing, which leads to another thing, and
Yeah.
did I ever get her package shipped? No. No, I certainly why would I have done that? Uh, no, but you can
That's
walk in
hilarious.
there now and not just trip on boxes and kill yourself, so
I mean, that is good.
yep, yep. So that's the kind of day I have had. Yeah,
I hear you.
and how about you?
It's been doctor appointment week for me, and I just have that every once
Ugh,
in a while where it's like
yeah,
time to go see all the docs.
mhm,
And I did do that, which is actually good because I'm feeling quite a bit better because I saw my RA doc and we're getting some things under control. But I feel like that when that comes up, it just takes over my life
yeah,
for a few days.
mhm,
So that's pretty much what I've gotten done this week.
yeah, I get it.
But I went to my RA doc, got some shots, feel quite a lot better.
Well, good.
Yeah, he's like, if you're not feeling good, just call and come see us and we'll fix you up, right? And I was like, yeah, I do know that. It's probably a good reminder, however, to remember to take them up on that. So
I know. But why don't you? I mean, I do the same thing, and I always wonder, why do I let myself suffer for way too long?
I'm like, oh, it's not that bad. It's gonna pass. It's fine. It's not a big of a deal. Blah blah blah. The
That might be
whole
part of
chronic
it, yeah.
pain, chronic illness thing that we all go through. That you're like, oh, I
Mhm.
don't want to make a big deal about it. It's fine. You know,
Yeah.
no,
Or
stupid.
maybe it'll pass. I think that's a big one because a lot of times it
Mhm.
does,
Yeah,
you
it
know?
does. Well, and
But
I was telling him that like I'm 3.5 months out from my hysterectomy, and I'm just frustrated because I'm still so tired. And he's like, you have rheumatoid arthritis, right? Like it's gonna
right.
like double your healing time
Yeah.
because of that illness. So maybe let up on yourself a little bit.
What? No.
Oh, that yes. I get really, and I know I'm preaching to the choir here to our listeners, but you know how
Mhm.
it is. You just kind of get in superwoman mode and you're like, major surgery, cancer, RA,
Right.
whatever. You know,
Yeah.
I got this. I got this.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I
I
don't
mean,
got this.
sometimes it doesn't hurt to get a little help. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm amazed 2 days after getting my shots, and I'm like, so much better already. Like, I'm an idiot. What am I doing?
Well, I get it, but I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
Very glad you did. Yeah. Well, good. Well, I hope you all are well. Seeing lots of chatters. I noticed that I actually scheduled this show to not start until like 8:20 or something. I'm not sure how that happened. So we fixed it right before the show started, so that may have caused some confusion. So sorry. Definitely my fault. But
Boy,
again, a little
it
ADD
happens.
brain. Yeah. Somebody called it what, the pre-Christmas snowball? Yeah, or the holiday snowball. Yeah,
Right. Oh, so much.
for
I
sure.
like the holidays, but I also love January. Love
Mm,
January.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm having a ball, right? I'm having the time of my life, but, whew,
Yeah, it's fun,
that,
but you can't maintain it for very long.
yeah, for sure. Well, we have our last fair, uh,
Oh, yes, we do.
a Yule market on Sunday, so that's gonna be really
Mhm.
fun. I'm very excited for it. I'm only making 1 new product for it. I
Wow.
mean, pretty much just bringing everything I already have. I have a lot,
Mhm.
but I'm making these cool candles that are the burning element is, olive oil. And they're really, really neat. They're just a jar that has, oh gosh, I put pine cones and some cedar boughs and cinnamon sticks and cranberries and stuff like that in them. And they are absolutely beautiful. And they burn beautifully. And I'm just so excited. I burned one, I made one a week ago and have been burning it on my kitchen table to see, how they work. And wow, they're
That's
just
cool. So,
floating wicks.
the stuff in there doesn't, like, light on fire? Like,
No, because it's a floating wick, and so it
oh,
floats on
okay.
top of the oil. It's really genius. It was a blog,
Mhm.
not mine. I
That's
learned
really
to do this,
smart.
but yeah.
That is really smart. How fun.
Yeah, pretty cool. So, yes, absolutely. Well, I'm glad that you guys all are here. So, it's an interesting time for case updates because as the year is starting to dwindle, a lot of cases are on hold or have wrapped up. And so there's
Mhm.
not as much happening, and yet, there's still plenty happening. But one thing we wanted to really mark is that this is the anniversary of Sandy Hook.
Yes, it is.
And so, Christy, I wanted you to talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I wanna share this photo. I'm not exactly sure who compiled this, but it is very interesting. This is a picture of 89 students who in total have been killed since the day of Sandy Hook forward to now in
Wow.
2012. That is sobering as hell, and
Hmm.
I know it's kinda pixely and not great because I stole it off the internet, but somebody put that together, and I think it's great, and if I knew who to, um, credit, I would, but I really appreciate just the awareness of,
Hmm.
you know, look at how nothing has changed.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about Sandy Hook. Sandy Hook took place on December 14th in 2012 in Newtown, Connecticut.
Yep.
20 first graders and 6 adults were murdered in that school shooting. And of course, so many since then.
Yeah.
Let's see, including, of course, in May of 2022, the Robb Elementary School shooting that took the lives of 19 students and 2 teachers, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas in Parkland, Florida in 2018. That was took the lives of 17, that included 14 students. The number of school shootings just continues to rise. The number of mass shootings in the United States have actually tripled since 2013, according to the Gun Violence Archive,
Wow.
which, I mean, how do we? how do we even talk about this and look at this and recognize that everything is worse since
Mhm.
Sandy Hook, not better. It didn't change anything.
No.
I mean, it did in the loss of the lives of these children and in their families' lives. And then, of course, we know about the lawsuits against Alex Jones and the Sandy Hook deniers, which is just the most ridiculous bunch of bullshit I've ever heard in my life. But at no point have has our government done anything to change this, to stop it.
No.
And we just continue to see it happen. What's been happening is things like school shooter drills and bulletproof backpacks,
Yeah.
which is, in my mind, completely the opposite of what we need to do.
Yeah.
We're literally expecting little children to try to be able to defend themselves and their teachers
Mhm.
to be able to defend themselves in these situations.
Mhm.
We haven't done anything to remove access to these kinds of weapons. We have actually, I say we, and by that I mean the United States as a whole, we have actually loosened gun laws quite
Yeah.
significantly since Sandy Hook,
Mhm.
including taking away the mental health restrictions for gun ownership, which President Trump did that.
Mhm.
And I just,
No, or like in our state, took away the law that concealed weapons that you had to have a permit or a license for them, and now you don't. And
mm,
lots of states have done that now too.
that was legal at 21. Now it's legal at 18 in
Yeah.
Idaho. We just keep putting more guns in more people's hands.
Yep.
And somehow people think that's the solution to the problem, except that when you look at Sandy Hook to now,
Mhm.
when that's exactly what's happened is more access to guns,
Yeah.
and we just keep having more and more and more mass shootings, more and more and more school
Yeah.
shootings. And we're not doing anything
Yeah.
to protect our children. I don't know. It's really sobering to realize that, when this happened, it seemed like maybe this was the moment that our country was finally going to take this seriously and do something, and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And it still hasn't happened 10 years later.
Yeah. Well,
I don't even know what it's going to take. Like,
I well,
guns are much more well protected than elementary school students are.
mhm.
Like,
Well,
the
we've now had
priorities here is,
2 schools where we've hit over 20, children,
yeah,
little children being gunned down in schools. If honestly, if Sandy Hook wasn't enough to change our laws, I can't imagine if anything ever will be.
right? Or Uvalde.
Or Uvalde. Yeah.
Or Uvalde, where we had police officers who opted not to go in and who actually publicly said they were afraid for their own lives because they
Yep.
were outgunned
Yep.
by that assailant and they knew it.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's very sobering. And it's not like this is stuff we don't know, but when you compare today to 10 years ago, the hope
Yep.
would be that things were better, and they are actually worse. Do you know that this year, 2022, we are going to break the national record for the number of mass shootings, and it will go over averaging 2 a day for
My
the entire
God.
year. I mean,
Yeah.
what's it
That's
going to
it's just
take?
uh, it's hard to know. It's hard to imagine. I was just reading today that the man who tackled and stopped the shooter at Club Q in Colorado Springs
Mhm.
has been receiving death threats
Oh my god.
from people who uh, are calling the shooter a hero and criticizing this man for stopping the hero shooter.
My god.
Can you even?
People in this country have
And
lost
also,
their fucking
that
minds.
man is a veteran. That man's a veteran. It kills me how the Thin Blue Line folks, and the support the troops folks, that really only applies if that person is marching to the beat of their drum. If not,
Right.
F them. the fact that he and his wife and his child have all received death threats because of his heroism
because he
is just
saved the lives of who
unbelievable.
knows how many people in
Yeah,
that club.
but the people sending these death threats didn't want those lives saved. They wanted them snuffed out.
I mean, what's it gonna
Just
take, America?
unthinkable. Yep.
It is a mental health crisis, but it's more than that.
Hmm.
And,
It's also a crisis of hate.
it is. It is. It's a crisis of hate, and it's a
Yeah.
crisis of open access.
Yeah.
Open access. Because if you look at the crime stats for countries who have significant gun restrictions, you know what they don't have? Any of this. They don't have any of this. They don't have 2
Yep.
mass shootings a day. They don't have
No.
elementary schools getting shot up and first graders getting murdered. They don't have these things.
Hmm.
And that's the thing is that we've lost total rational thought around this and an ability to observe other countries who have dealt with these problems in a way that works.
Hmm.
And you still can't get an unfortunately large number of Americans to look at that rationally and go, so guns, more guns is not the answer.
Yep.
And yet we actually know it is. It's very clear that it is. And you're
Hmm.
right, Cranky. This did all start when they didn't renew the assault weapon ban in 2004
Yep.
because all of this shit happened after that,
Hmm.
even clear back to Columbine.
Hmm. Yep.
Yeah, someone is making money, and that's what it's all about. Of course, the gun lobby is huge. The money is
Yep.
huge, and as
Yep.
we know in America, people don't matter for shit over money.
No. No.
It's disheartening and sickening to me to think that we're 10 years past Sandy Hook with no improvement at all, with
Yep.
everything continuing to get worse as far as mass shootings and school shootings are concerned. We learned nothing from Sandy Hook,
Hmm.
nothing at all. And boy, isn't that unbelievably disrespectful to the lives of those little kids and their families.
Yep. It meant nothing.
Yeah, didn't. And GB, I know, the discussion always is, defend your home, hunt. Great. Do all those things. You know what you don't need to do all of those things? A semi-automatic weapon. You don't need that. You can have a handgun in your house. You want a rifle to hunt with? Great, go for it. But you know
Yep.
what no one is using semi-automatic weapons for? Home protection and hunting. That's You don't use those guns for those. Those guns are made to kill people. They're weapons of war.
Well, aggressive guns. Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, a lot of hunting guns are semi-automatics.
Right, they are, but
They're
they're
just,
but
but it's not the same. Like, no one's going out with an AR and
right.
hunting a deer, you
No,
know?
no, you're not going to eat that meat. You can't.
No.
You can't shoot 100 bullets a minute or whatever the hell they all do.
Yep.
No one needs that.
Yep. Yep.
Right, right, Cranky. The weapon was invented for the Vietnam War to shoot someone through the helmet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. At
Yeah,
least Alex
Janet.
Jones is being held accountable, at least if in money.
Yeah.
You
It
know.
may be. I mean,
Yeah.
most of it's symbolic. He won't ever be able to pay all of that, but and
Yeah.
he's working real hard on hiding it, but
Mhm.
yeah,
It's just it's sickening.
it is. It is. But of course, and as always, our hearts go out to everyone who's been touched by school shootings, who's lost someone,
Mm.
who's experienced the fear of that, whose children have had to sit through these drills and be terrified. I mean, it's all of us in one way or another.
Yeah, I'll never forget getting a text from my son that there was an attack at his school and they were locked down. It turned out to be a drill, but the students
Hmm.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
And so he's texting me. I fortunately knew a police officer and I texted her and said, "What the hell's going on?" And she
Hmm.
said, "It's a drill. It's okay. It's a drill."
Yeah.
But that moment that everybody dreads, you
Yep.
know,
Yep. It was
I can't
terrifying.
imagine.
Hmm. Well, speaking of school shooters, let's talk about the Crumblies.
Oh, good God.
Guys, The Crumbleys don't like being in jail. They wanted the judge to
They,
know that yet
they
again.
really want to. They really want to go home.
They want to go home. They don't like it here. Also, they've had to sell their home to pay for their legal fees. And also, they don't like it here. This is the bad place. And
Yeah,
also, it's really unfair that the prosecution keeps saying that they are a flight risk because they weren't trying to flee. They were going to turn themselves in just as soon as they were done hiding in the basement of that art studio. Like, they were going to do that. That's what was said in court this week,
right.
essentially.
They legit were not trying to run to the Canadian border, except that that's exactly where they headed for, and were hiding out across the river from the Canadian border.
Hmm.
But no, guys, no, that's not what they were doing.
Yep.
Holy hell!
They said that they were never trying to flee and they can prove it. They can prove it basically based on a bunch of hearsay and just trying to explain away their behavior. Basically, they said that they had to flee their home in Oxford for their own safety and went to Detroit to stay with a friend. Here's the thing: stay with a friend. If you're going to go stay with a friend, don't you stay at a friend's house? But they weren't staying at a friend's house. They were staying in the basement of an art studio, locked in a little corner office, chilling.
Where they did not have permission to be.
Well, they did by the friend that let them in owned had a rented one portion of that building.
Right, but by the
But
actual owner of that building? No.
no,
And
no.
that wasn't a place where people live, that was a business.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, they're so full of shit.
And also, the reason they took all that money out of the bank is because they couldn't show their face at a bank for a while because they didn't think it would be safe for them. So they just took a big chunk of change just to make sure they'd have enough to be able to obtain attorneys and turn themselves in.
Yeah,
And they
obtain
were going to
attorneys
turn themselves
for
in.
themselves, not their
Yeah,
son.
it's so absolutely ridiculous. But see, here's the thing:
It
they
is.
have filed some stuff about the constitutionality of charging them for their son's crime that is now going to their state Supreme Court. And because of that, their trial is on hold indefinitely. They kind of effed themselves over in a sense because they did that. They filed those things, and now they can't go to trial until that is done. So now
Mm.
they're like, well, hell, we don't want to be here anymore. So can't we go home yet?
Do you think
So,
that the victims that their son murdered at his school with the gun that they provided for him, think maybe they'd want to go home now too?
yeah, I think
Can't
so.
undo dead, can you?
Not really.
These
No.
people are the worst of the worst.
They also say that they have support and they have people that they could be living with and people that are supporting them, but those people don't dare say so publicly for their own safety. What a
Whatever, man.
luxury. What a luxury.
Hmm.
Some people wanted to go to school, but you know, weren't safe to do so. Like it's so hypocritical and
I
stupid.
mean, some people wanted their children to grow up and graduate high school and go to college and get married and do whatever, live their dreams. And that didn't get to happen
Mhm.
because of what they, you know,
Yeah. It just kills me
what
how they're
they
like,
let their son do.
"Okay, judge, this is not funny anymore. We're ready to go home now." Like, dude, that's never going to happen. You
When
can
are
keep
you ever going to
asking.
take this seriously?
The judge is never going to reduce that bail. She's not.
No. I mean,
But
what is this?
also,
Fourth
if
time? Fifth
yeah, at
time?
least. Yeah, at least. But come on, guys. If you have all these people that are supporting you, why don't they just make your bail then?
Yeah. I mean, you do have a bail amount.
And they did sell their house apparently in order to pay for this last year in jail. So, and their attorneys and whatnot. So anyway, that one kills me. To read that
Yeah.
article about them, yet again asking to go home and basically being like, we don't like it here. We don't like it. And we would like to go now. Thank you so much.
They just don't understand. And maybe they do, and that's what the fear is. But this is landmark. This is precedent setting. This is finally holding adults accountable for
Hmm.
providing children with guns who then
Hmm.
go and kill other children. Like,
And they're a great example. I mean, this was as egregious as it could be.
oh my God, their kid was literally begging them for help.
Mhm.
And instead of helping them, they bought him an early Christmas present, the gun he used to shoot up his school. I
And
mean,
taught him how to shoot it,
yeah,
and left it in an unlocked nightstand with ammunition. I mean,
and refused to take him home from school that day when he was clearly having a mental health crisis at school, would not take him home, would not
mhm,
take responsibility for him.
mhm.
I mean, there is never, ever going to be a better candidate than them for
Right.
being held accountable for this.
Yep. Yep. Honestly, they can be in a hurry to, get home all they want, but they're never going home. Not for a really long time, because I have
Mhm.
absolutely no question in my mind that they will be convicted.
Oh yeah, I mean the judge is not having any of this.
Mm-mm. No,
They've
no.
pulled all kinds of crap already trying to get their bail
Mm-mm.
reduced, trying to get out, and the
Yep.
judge is like, "Yeah, we're not doing that."
Yep. Yep. Can they be charged where their child is charged as an adult? Yeah. Yeah.
They can, and I mean, they're being charged with involuntary manslaughter.
Mhm.
Um, it's not the same as being charged with murder, but they did provide a very mentally unstable person with the means to do this,
Yep.
knowing that this was something that was brewing in his head. They knew that day. The
Mhm.
drawings that the teacher showed them. I mean,
Yep. Knowing damn well he had the means. Yep. So that's what's up with the Crumblies.
yeah,
Per normal, directly to the top of the FOS list.
yeah, for sure.
Let's talk a little bit about Moscow.
Yeah.
So there's still not a lot coming out of Moscow, obviously.
Other than leaks of who knows what's true and what's not.
Yeah, leaks and conjecture and panic still for good reason.
Mhm.
But we do know now why. Last week we showed you a picture of a white Hyundai Elantra and said that the
Yes.
police were looking for whoever was in that car, that maybe they'd seen something. Now we know why. It is because of a local gas station attendant who she's the assistant manager of a gas station near that house. And she didn't work that night, but she had been feeling like maybe she ought to just watch through the tapes of that night from their surveillance and see if she saw anything. And she did. She saw this white Hyundai Elantra at 3:45 come down the road and go speeding around the corner, and it just, was the right timing, and it just kind of jumped out at her. So
Mhm.
she called the police, and she says that they have come and taken about 12 hours of footage from them to review, and that's where the request for the people driving that car, or anybody that knows anything about that car, came from last week.
I mean, that sounds like the first solid lead they've had,
Yeah,
outside of, like, the forensic work done in the house. I mean, that's pretty good.
yeah,
And yeah, GB had that gut feeling and followed it. Way to go.
yeah,
See something, say something.
yep, yep. No, it was Monday night that she saw the tape, but this was on the tape from around the 3 to 3:45 hour.
Mhm.
So, yeah. So
That is
so there
really
is
cool.
that. Also, the parents have absolutely freaking had it.
Oh my god. The I mean, who is liaising with the parents? Because whoever it is, they're not doing a good job.
No. No, they are not, and the parents are really over it and are saying some interesting things about, that they feel like the authorities need to tell people that who what the gender of the killer must have been, because it's the Gone Clouds girl. Her dad is saying that first of all, it had to have been a man who created these injuries, because there's no way a woman would have had the strength to do what this killer did.
Oh my
He has called the police cowards over and over again, which I understand his ire, but at the same time, I don't know. The clash between the parents and the police up there is not helping, you know?
No,
It's
it
not
isn't.
helping. Yeah.
Well, it also, one of the things that I read indicated that the injuries are not particularly consistent between victims.
Yes.
That the way that some of them were stabbed versus the way the others were stabbed really does seem to indicate that it was not the same person that did all of the stabbing.
Yes. Yeah. Very interesting. The two girls that were in the same bed
Yeah.
have very inconsistent wounds, which is something that there's been a lot of conjecture. Could this really have been one person?
I can't imagine that it could have been, honestly, because
Yeah.
this had to be done quickly. And
Mhm.
to restrain and murder 4 people in different rooms of
Mhm.
this house, on different floors of this house,
Yeah.
like, it just that does not track at all.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what we know. It's not a lot, but those are the things that are coming out right now.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, let's see. Let me check our list. We got to make our list and check it twice, just like everyone else. Oh, Leilani
Mm.
Simon.
Oh, yes.
Whew.
Yikes.
Leilani F. Simon.
Mhm.
So we know now she's facing a 19 count indictment in the murder of her son.
And it's a grand jury indictment.
A grand jury indictment. Yeah. So the charges include one count of malice murder, two counts of felony murder, and one count of concealment of the death of another, as well as a bunch of the false statements that she made to law enforcement after she reported him missing. They are also saying that they believe that his body was in the dumpster when she called the police.
Oh god.
Yeah, and
Oof.
reported him missing. So we now know what all of the charges against her are going to look like. 19 counts. They've got to have so much evidence.
I
To,
think
to
so
get
too.
all of this together, they've got to have so much evidence.
Well, and to be a grand jury indictment, I mean, that's
Hmm. Hmm. For sure. So the other interesting thing about this case is that her mother has been arrested,
mhm.
but we still don't know why. Uh, we don't know. There's conjecture either way. Her name is Billy Joe Howell. She, of course, actually had custody of this little guy when this happened and has been standing right by her daughter's side. And frankly, is just as gross as they come and
The 2 of them are just horrendous.
horrible. And so we don't know. They're keeping her cause of arrest under wraps right now. It is from the juvenile court, which I'm not sure I understand at all.
Well, in reading
But
it, I think that it has something to do with child protection and him being in her custody,
okay, that would make
because it
sense to
was
me.
her responsibility to protect that child because she was
Hmm.
given custody, and that happened through child protection. So I
Yeah.
think that's why it's in the juvenile court, is because it's his case, it's the
Uh
baby's
huh.
case, and
It's gotta
it's a
be.
child
It's gotta
protection
be.
related.
Yeah.
That they're looking at this like, "Where the hell were you? We gave you custody to
Yeah.
protect him."
Supposedly
And
out of town.
yeah,
Supposedly she was out of town.
and had left him with his mother, who was not
Mhm.
supposed to have custody of him.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're gonna find out, is that this is a part of the
Uh-huh.
like, the family court side of it,
Mhm.
and that they're
Interesting.
holding her in contempt or in violation or something
Uh-huh.
around that.
Well, that would make sense. That would make all the sense.
Yeah.
So so we'll keep an eye on that one and let you know when we know what that was about because that I thought was quite interesting.
Mhm. Well, it looks to me like they're gonna go after both of them hard, and that's exactly what needs to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Do it. They have it coming. Oh, Jared Leisik.
Oh, boy.
Blah. Blah blah. So back to court with Jared. His legal team has filed to dismiss, of course, because they don't want this to be going on. But here's the thing: Jared is already doing whatever the hell he wants.
Right.
His sister tweeted something that I thought was really interesting. I'm going to share it with you guys here.
Mhm.
because it seems that our dear Jared is still just doing whatever the hell he wants to and is getting
Mm,
away with it.
jeez.
So, special treatment, the arrogance, the Jared has always done whatever he wanted layer of this is really frustrating. But here's
Mhm.
what she said. This was the day he was supposed to go to, or the day that he did go to court. Jared was ordered to be fingerprinted and booked before court today. Jared was not fingerprinted and booked before court today. Jared was ordered to get fingerprinted and booked before the end of December. However, a new court date for a sealed motion is scheduled for December 23rd. This case is already set up for failure as it is proceeding illegally without Jared being fingerprinted and booked. Am I the only one seeing that this case is being set up to be overturned on technicalities? Last court hearing was bad enough, and now this, really?
Mhm.
It seems as though the courts are playing by their own rules. Jared is once again allowed to play by his rules. Makes me sick.
Yeah. Well, and why is that, uh, motion sealed for December
Yeah,
23rd? We're gonna start doing a bunch of shit behind closed doors like Idaho is doing right now? Why?
apparently. Yeah,
Typical white male bullshit.
yep,
We
yep,
all know it. We've seen it a million times.
yeah. Here we are. Here we are. So there's not a whole lot more we know about that. I can't
Mhm.
imagine that, I mean, of course they filed to dismiss. Everyone does that. Though I'm not even sure why they do at this point because they're never successful. But yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, they did file for dismissal. I don't think they'll get that. They've
I mean,
allowed this to
everybody
go this
tries
far.
that.
Yeah.
But why, if he's been ordered to be fingerprinted and booked, why hasn't he been? And who is allowing that?
Yeah.
Why isn't that being, remedied by the judge? Why is the judge not saying, what's going on here?
Right. Right. Why indeed? Right. I mean, honestly, if he's not doing the things he's supposed to do, why isn't he being held in contempt? Or why is this allowed to proceed at all without him doing the things he's supposed to do? I don't know. I don't know. But that I think is pretty concerning.
It is. And, it's
Yep.
interesting to see that statement from his sister because
Yeah.
we have the cousin who is a victim. Now we've got the sister. Obviously, there are family members in this situation who are well aware
Mhm.
of him and his bullshit.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, speaking of bullshit, should we talk about Daybell Vallow?
Well, why not?
Okay. Well, as you know, they went to court last week. It was
Yep,
the first time that Lori and Chad were in the same courtroom together. They haven't seen each other in person now for more than 2 years.
yep.
It's an interesting thing because people that were in the courtroom are saying that they were looking at each other quite a bit. East Idaho News says they didn't look at each other at all. So I don't know what's true.
I know. I've seen both, and I'm like, well, it can't be both. Did it
Right.
just depend on what angle where you were sitting? You could see them glancing, or something. I don't know.
I wondered if it was the difference between being a male or a female.
Ooh, you got a point there.
If women were noticing the subtleties and the stolen glances, and
Hmm.
men were like, I don't know. I didn't see that. I didn't see them looking at each other.
I
So
think you're onto something right there.
I don't know. But also, the reporters in the courtroom were probably very busy doing their job as well. So I don't know. I can't say for sure that they were or weren't looking at each other. We don't know. But what we do know, however, is that they were in court and that they do now have a case, a date.
They
No big
do.
surprise that Mr. Pryor wanted October of 2023 or into 2024. He says that he just that morning received more evidence on a thumb drive from the prosecution. And how could he possibly be ready any sooner than a year to a year and a half from now?
I mean, dude, you were supposed to be ready in January. So you just got 3 extra months. What is your problem?
What? the
that he
hell
will just
takes this long?
continually bitch no matter what?
And Lori's attorney said, no, she did not waive her right to a speedy trial,
Right.
and we want to go. They wanted to go in February.
Yeah.
So they are actually going to trial on April 3rd. So starting April 3rd in Boise, Idaho, that's where it's all going down.
Fingers crossed, right?
But fingers crossed,
That it
yes.
really will.
Well, honestly, I do you have to wonder if Lori's attorneys are like, she's sane and competent right now? Let's get this show on the road.
Right. I'm sure they are. Where
And
when
I
she
wonder
was
if the
found
judge is kind of
competent,
thinking that too.
yeah,
Yeah.
like let's get this done while she's still
Mhm.
functional.
Mhm. Yep. So that's where it's at. We did learn something pretty interesting. You know how Lori's camp is saying we there are specific interviews that we're asking for that we haven't received?
Yeah.
And we were wondering, how do they know that there's specific interviews that they haven't received?
Yeah.
Well, it's because they talked to a private investigator out of Arizona
Mm,
whose name is Brandon Hobbs. He testified. Brandon Hobbs said that he met with Zulema, and Zulema told him that she has met with the prosecution. And Lori's camp says that they have not received anything about them meeting with Zulema. So they want to know when, where, what was said. They want to see that interview. They want to
well, and
be privy to that.
we know they did because that was part of that whole controversy with
Mhm.
Rob Wood speaking to Summer Cox, Lori's sister, and that whole conversation about, hey, Mark Beans is kind of a shitty attorney. You might want to tell your sister to get a better one.
Yeah.
He was there to meet with Summer and Zulema.
Right.
So, I mean, that's been known for a
Right.
long time.
But Mr. Thomas in his examination, or in his testimony, not testimony, but in his conversation with the court, is saying that they don't have that.
They didn't record it or
That they don't have anything about that interview. And
hmm,
they want it.
mhm,
So that's part of about what they are asking for and saying that they haven't received, which we've been wondering, why do they keep asking for this stuff? The
mhm,
prosecution just keeps saying, we've given it all to you on all those terabytes of information. It's there. Go find it yourself. And they're saying, no, it isn't there. We don't have it. Well, this is
mhm.
what they're saying they don't have. Like, there may
That's
be more,
interesting.
but this was the example that was used in court.
Mhm. That is really interesting because, yeah, that was
Yeah.
confirmed to have happened a long time ago.
Mhm. Yep. And so because of that, Judge Boyce did grant the motion to compel, saying that further compliance is obviously necessary from the state, and he wants them to do that right away.
Mhm,
So we'll see how the state responds to that. We don't know if they will
mhm,
respond to that, or if they'll just, dig through their files and find what these guys are asking for. We don't know. They also had discussed the that motion for a bill of particulars,
oh, yeah.
which is basically arguing that the court must issue a written document which explains the allegations against Daybell and Vallow in more detail. I
What?
honestly, it's so stupid.
This
So
has
the judge
already
did not,
been addressed.
yeah, the judge did not rule on that. He said he'd take it under advisement and release a written ruling in the coming weeks. They're not going to get it. I mean, they've already argued, one camp has already argued this and did not get it. Now the other camp is arguing it. They're not going to get it either.
Right,
That's ridiculous. They know damn well what the charges against them are.
right. I mean, murder, conspiracy to commit murder, fraud.
Hmm.
There you go. Boom. There's the charges. What's
Right.
the confusion?
So they also talked about the motion to prevent the death qualification of the jury.
Mhm,
Uh, Actually, they didn't talk about. They should have talked about the motion to prevent, yeah, the death qualification of the jury, and the motion to declare the death penalty unconstitutional. both of those arguments or motions have been rescheduled. So they'll have to talk about those down the road because it's always rescheduled, you know? It's like every time they meet, it's like, well, here's all the things we need to talk about. So let's talk about talking about those things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let's talk about talking about them. Oh my god.
Yeah. So, and now, of course, they have trial in 5 months, hopefully. So
It's not that much time.
that's where it is. I agree, GB. She said it's safe to guess that Zulema has some kind of immunity or some kind of a deal that they negotiated with her attorney. I think she must.
I sure think
Well,
so.
we know that she had
A
an
limited,
agreement in Arizona, but
yeah,
yeah,
but we
she's
think
got
she has
to.
one here
Mhm.
as well. We really question if the Melodies do as well,
Yeah.
because they all testified at the grand jury, and we don't know what
Mhm.
they testified to.
Mhm.
And we know that Annie Cushing has uh, Tylee's aunt has
Mhm.
put forward some stuff from that huge cell phone ping GPS report thing that indicates that all of those people may have been here in the area when the kids were killed, and yet they have not been charged. Well, that's a
Yeah.
pretty good clue that they may actually have immunity deals or some kind of deal
Mhm.
in place.
Yeah. Do we think Chad is going to go to trial? What a dumb move.
I don't know.
For the longest time, we didn't. For the longest time, we really thought that he would finally roll on Lori and
Yeah.
take a deal and plead and get this over with. But the longer this goes, the less I'm sure he's going to do that.
I mean, it's still possible. They have
Oh, yeah.
pretrial conference coming up before the trial,
Mm-hmm.
and that's generally when that kind of thing comes out.
Mm-hmm.
During the pretrial conference is when they're going to determine, are we going to trial or has there been a deal, struck?
Yeah.
And that's got to be coming up then in March,
Yeah.
right?
I believe so. Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of where things are. It's wild. It's wild. I mean, I'm glad that they rescheduled for April. I'm glad that it wasn't further out. Can you imagine that Mr. Pryor wants 2024? I
No.
can't even begin to wonder what the hell is going on with him.
Considering that he is the attorney that has been on this case the longest at this point, if he's not ready, that's his own damn fault, man.
Mhm. That's my thought. I mean, come on. You're definitely not telling the court that you are competent
No,
in these
and that's
arguments,
the point.
especially considering that Lori's camp was like, well, "Hey, we'll go to court in February. Yeah, let's go. Let's do it."
Mhm,
I mean, the prosecution wasn't arguing that either, I don't think. They seem to be pretty cool with, well, Judge, when you're ready, let's go.
mhm,
And Lori's camp's been on the shortest amount of time. And they're like, yeah, let's get to
right.
trial. Let's go now.
Well, I mean, up until they suspended everything to determine Lori's competency, it was gonna be in January. They should have already been pretty damn close to prepared back in October. So,
Right.
it's just ridiculous.
Yep. So the belligerent turd circus marches on. Can you imagine if Means was still on the case? He might have wanted 2025. Yeah.
Yeah,
Can
oh,
you
he
imagine
totally
if Bean
would've.
was still on the case for like a litany of reasons?
Oh my god. No, I really cannot. Like, at some point, he and Lori's attorneys would come to blows.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Them trying to continue to cooperate on this. Oh, my Lord.
And why is Pryor stalling? Because that's all he's got. What has he
Hmm.
got for defense here? She did
Alex
it.
did it. Yeah.
Alex did it. That's what he's got. I mean,
Hmm.
Chad
Well,
has no defense.
so when Chad's kids went on to, was it on Court TV
Dateline,
or
48
Dateline?
hours. I don't know.
Yeah, one of the news stations, they did that little interview thing with them. Uh, the thing they said, and we wondered if this was a little taste of what the defense was going to be, they said that their dad was set up, that he was just too trusting and just fell in with these really terrible people. And he didn't do any of
This
the things he's
evil
accused
woman
of
did
doing.
this to him.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Chad's defense is that yeah, his daughter said that he was
Mhm.
a grave digger and wouldn't have buried a body like that. Yeah.
That is the most terrible not defense I've ever
Right.
heard.
Can you
Like, my dad
imagine?
really knows how to bury a body, so he would have done a better job. Like,
Mhm.
totally. Like, what?
Like, totally.
Well, she's so flippant and, like,
Mhm.
that's not helping, lady.
No, and there's dead bodies all around you, like, it's
Yeah, it's time to face up.
no. Yeah. Yep. So, yeah. So we don't really know, but that's what I think that's why Pryor keeps, yeah, delaying is that he just really still doesn't have a case. He's still waiting to find the next interview, the next something that's the smoking gun that he can hang his hat on, but it's not there.
No, because there isn't one.
Yep. Not good.
Mm.
Yeah. So, do we have anything else?
Oh, I just wanted to talk a little bit about, some crime stat information.
Yes.
So, and we're gonna do an episode on this next week with more information, but I wanted to talk a little bit about national crime statistics here in the US. Just I feel like it's really important that we look at what is reported by law enforcement agencies because what we see most of the time is what's reported by the news. And media has huge bias. And we always have to be careful about the crime stats because there's bias in there too. But you see like an overemphasis, particularly on Black men who commit crime, even
Mhm.
though percentage wise, much lower than how
Yep.
many white men commit crime because of the difference in population. So I just wanted to share a little bit about some of the crime stats from 2020. I'm probably mostly going to share 2020 because there's a big problem with crime stats for 2021. The federal government changed the whole structure of reporting for 2021, and they don't have anywhere near all of the 2021 stats. Like big cities have not turned their information in because they're still trying to adjust to the new system and they have
Mhm.
such a massive amount of information. But I think it's really important to note something that's gone on in 2020, and that is that in 2020 there's been a pretty significant increase in murder. Like significant as in about a 33% increase in murders in 2020.
Wow.
It's the largest increase since 1905 and most likely ever.
Wow.
So the data is provisional, and you have to understand that they turn in provisional data at the end of the year, and then it really takes years for all the data to filter through. You
Mhm.
also struggle with some uh, agencies don't report, some don't
Yeah.
report accurately. You know, there's a lot of challenge here, but there is a lot of work done to try to understand what is happening with our crime stats. But the U.S. murder rate rose by nearly a third in 2020.
Wow.
And it's believed to have a lot to do with the pandemic
Oh, for sure.
and, lack of resources and, just the extreme amount of stress,
Mhm.
added stress that we were under at that time.
Mhm.
Now, has that carried on? We're not totally sure because there's problems with the 2021 stats. But I wanted to tell you some states that had the biggest increases. Montana had an 84% increase.
Good lord.
Now, some of that could be reporting. Some of it could be that
Mhm.
in prior years their reporting wasn't as good. You have to remember there's always margin of error in statistics.
Sure.
These are averages.
Mhm.
South Dakota, an increase of 81%.
Wow.
You know what's big in Montana and South Dakota? MMIW
MMIW
cases.
cases. Yep.
Yeah. Delaware had a 62% increase. Kentucky, a 61% increase.
Wow.
New York had a 47% increase. Pennsylvania, 39%. Illinois, 38%. Ohio, 38%. And California, 36%.
Wow.
So we've seen a big increase. Here's the other thing that we've seen a big increase in, and that is Firearms were involved in 77% of murders for which the data was available in 2020. That is
Mhm.
up from 73% in 2019. And so we continue to see more guns, more gun violence, more guns, more gun violence, more guns, more
Mhm.
gun violence. It's adding up over the years.
Mhm.
Also, our murder clearance rate is abysmal.
Oh, yeah.
It was 61% in 2019, and it was 54% in 2020.
Good lord.
Our murder solve rate in the United States is the lowest it has ever been.
My god.
So, some interesting things to think about. I'm going to go into this stuff quite a bit more in depth in an episode next week, but I feel like it's a good thing to talk about sort of at the end of the year as we wrap everything we've covered,
Yeah.
to talk a little bit about, is crime getting better or worse?
Yeah.
What's changing? We need to know.
Mhm.
Overall, violent crime is down. Crime in general is down and has been for a long time.
Yeah.
But we're seeing some increase that is scary.
Yeah. Yep. No, nothing
Yeah.
nothing has helped up to this point at all. It's just continuing to get worse, and it from everything we've seen in all of the work we've done here in the last few years is that, it seems to us that our police officers are being less and less well trained,
Yeah.
and, that yeah, things are not getting better, that is for sure.
No. I mean, we just had in Clark County, Idaho, our sheriff and a deputy and a dispatcher all quit on the same
Mhm.
day.
Yep.
And the sheriff said that he could not possibly run an efficient and effective police force with the budget that he was being given.
Mhm.
Now we have this huge disparity because you have these little counties like that that don't get nearly enough money. And then you have the huge
Mhm.
police forces in LA and New York and places like that that are getting a shit ton, way too much money.
Yep.
And there's no balance between any of this.
No. No. Well, in those little counties, like Clark County is a tiny county per capita,
Yeah,
population-wise, but mileage or
it's
acreage-wise
a
is
huge county.
vast.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a ton to cover. Yeah, we
it
have a
is.
lot of problems that way.
Mhm.
So, I just don't know, and yeah, do the police departments and academies screen well enough? I think not.
No.
Yeah, police officer suicides have increased 50%. Yeah,
Yes, they have. I mean, things are
yep,
not better for the police. They're
either.
definitely not
No,
better for, any community of color.
no.
Everything is worse. And one of
Mhm.
the things that doesn't come out very often, but did in Uvalde, is that the police are afraid
Yep,
because they know they are outgunned.
yep,
They don't, most police forces don't even carry the kinds of guns that these mass shooters carry.
right.
How are they supposed to take somebody down when they can't even match them with their
Yeah,
weapon?
yeah.
So we're going to talk a lot more about that last next week. It's
Mhm.
super complicated, and so I just want to break it down into some bites that we can, that are relevant to violent crime, basically, because
Yeah.
that's what we cover, so that I can, help y'all understand it a little bit more. But I wanted to bring you that because I think that it is really disturbing.
Mhm. It is. It's really, really concerning. Uh, Next week will be our last week of the year. So
Yes.
we are going to be taking off between Christmas and New Year's,
Hmm.
taking a little break to R&R ourselves and hang out with our families and stuff. So we are taking that break. So next week will be it for us for this year.
It'll be the
Uh
end of season 3.
the end of season 3. Next Wednesday night will be, of course, the last case updates live stream for the year. And then, of course, right after that will be the cold read party. And that will be also the last one for the year. So if you subscribe to the cold read party, be sure you plan on attending that one.
Hmm.
Our last episode of the year next Wednesday, we have something really funny and fun planned,
Hmm.
and interesting, we think.
You're gonna
So,
want to watch out for that.
yes. Oh,
Oh, and
GB
GB.
said, oh, yeah, that our podcast was number 2 on her most played list for Spotify. Something
Thank you.
positive. We'll take it. We love it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So now you know that's what's going on. So, with that being said, we're going to go. So, thanks you guys so much for being here. If you were listening live or to an archive or a replay, we welcome it all and you all. So, be good to yourselves, please. As
Mhm.
always, go get a cookie, have a glass of wine, take care of yourself.
Definitely.
This has been yet another production of the True Crime Squad. Take care.
Bye, everybody.